Hello, and thank you for watching. Welcome. If you are not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button down there. It's free. And you will be notified if you hit the bell icon too when I make new videos. And if I get enough subscribers and enough interest, I'll keep making videos. If not, then I won't. But as of now, I've met some great people, and there have been some subscribers, and I think that's great. This information is not for everyone. It's for those who seek it. It's not for general public, because it's a cult. It's hidden information. And if you've come to this page, then you're looking for it. Today, I want to talk about something. The title of the video is Why Don't Racists Know They're Racist? And some racists do know they're racist. And they're proud of it. But most people who are racist will do and say racist things and then demand that they're not racist. And the only way they can do that is because they don't know what racism and prejudice is. So I want to have a talk today because this is very common. There are people, and I'm sure you know, there are people that you may hear say and do racist things and then deny that they're racist, even though they're acting and saying and talking and being a racist. So let's talk about what racism is. I mean, that's the problem. They don't know. Racism is prejudice. It is a form of prejudice. Prejudice can be, you can be prejudiced against people because they're rich. You can be prejudiced against people because they're a different race. Well, that would be racist. If you're prejudiced against people who are a different sex, that's sexism, or being a sexist. But it's all prejudice. And prejudices means to prejudge, to judge somebody without having all the facts, just judging them solely by the color of their skin or their genitalia or their financial wealth. Prejudice. And generally, a lot of the racial prejudice is built on lies. And that is why racists don't know they are racist, because they think, because they're living lies. When you believe falsehoods, you then live them. And by living it, you may have lived it that way your whole life, so it becomes second nature and natural to you. Let me give you some examples. Recently, I read a comment where someone said that you can't understand prejudice and racism because you're not black and you don't have any black friends. That statement is a racist statement, because they're saying you can't understand what prejudice is because your intelligence is based on the color of your skin and the skin of your friends. That is a blatant, obvious, racist statement. And because they believe that unless you have black skin or you have black friends, then you can't study and learn what racism and prejudice is. That's the lie that they're living. So naturally, they believe you can't understand racism and prejudice if you're not black because of the color of your skin, which is silly. If you anybody can be taught, racism is a taught um, belief system. Now, some people think that if you have black skin, then you can't be racist against other black people. That is a racist statement because you're saying the color of their skin it affects their beliefs, and it doesn't, because black people or any race can be taught to be inferior to another race, and we see this in black families where they teach their children to treat white people different than black people, and they grow up to be a cab driver or a policeman or a judge, a black judge or a black policeman or a black cab driver who treats black people less than white people. You can be taught that, and it's been proven. Go down to the city and you watch the black taxi driver drive past the man in the black suit, the black man in the suit, and pick up the white man in the suit, because they've been taught differently. They've been taught to think that they are less, so they act that way, second nature, without thinking about it. This is prejudice that is built in and taught to us. So people out there, I mean, you'll see channels like Fox News when they, I don't watch them. In the years past, I did. But it's an entertainment. It's not really news. I think anybody that really uses their head and understands this. And they're playing on the most gullible in our society. And what they're trying to, someone who's angry and fearful will watch more television, and they know how to get them to watch. So what I was saying is, when they have an issue on race, particularly black people, or if it's Muslims and Middle Eastern people, they will seek out a black person that would be that would make claims against it, because they believe, which is a racist thing to do, but that's what they do. They will always have a black person speaking out against equal rights for black people. Now, how can they do that? Well, they do that because, for two reasons. They can find people who were raised to feel as they're black people who were raised to feel inferior. Just like women and girls are raised in our societies to feel like they're less than men. Now, parents, mothers and fathers don't specifically teach their daughter and tell them, you're less than a man, you're less than a boy, so you have to live that way, that you're less. And they don't specifically say that, but they live it. And they expect men to do certain things for women because they're meek and they're weak and they're helpless and they need them. And that they need a man, like a woman needs a man in order to survive. They were taught that in the past. women needed to find themselves a man to latch on to if they wanted to survive, because they needed to be taken care of. And that culture still is in society today. And parents won't actually come right out and say it. They'll say, oh, yes, boys and girls are equal, but then act and teach completely differently. And it can be between boys and girls. It can be black and white. It can be this country and another country. There are children being raised today to be taught that they're special simply because they were born on this dirt in this part of the world. And if you're born on a different soil, on a different part of the world, well, you're inferior. And these lies, all these lies that are being taught to children when they grow up, now they start living them. And when you live lies, you get a resistance from the world, the universe, society, everything. Whatever you're living lies against. So it's the living of lies that causes the suffering. Now, there was just another shooting today out in California. I didn't catch much of it. I don't watch much news. I pick it up from friends and family. And I did hear that there was another shooting today in California of a young boy at a school. And people are blaming the guns. Their guns are an issue because they're so easily had here in the United States. But that's not the real problem. The real problem is the way we are raising, the culture in which we raise boys to be insecure. You need a big gun, a big truck. You have to be over masculine in your appearance and the way you act, and you have to be violent to be a man. These are lies, because it's not true. It simply isn't true. It's something made up through Hollywood and these images people get in their head, and the people they're told to look up to. So we have to take a closer look at what's going on, because other countries don't have this problem because their men are secure with who they are. They don't have anything to prove. Here in this country, men and boys are growing up with something to prove, and their emotions are smashed down so they don't have any. They're told emotions are women, and that's another thing. Men are put down by being called a woman. What is that telling you? That's telling you our culture thinks women are less. It's not true, because you can't value somebody by whether they have boobs or not. I mean, how do we value somebody? Women are just as smart as men. Muscles? What's that got to do with anything? People put value on things that are irrelevant. Kindness is what makes you a good person. So you have to look at yourself and see how you are doing. How's your society doing? And it doesn't matter what genitalia you have, because women can be raised with the same over-masculine attitudes as boys do. It's how we are taught, our culture. And that is the same thing with racists. And why racists don't know they're racist? Because they believe in falsehoods. And they think, oh, I'm not being racist, I'm just telling the truth. Now, some racists will say that, well, look at what the black people do to their communities and them and themselves. They're killing each other with guns. In specific locations, yes. In other locations, no. And in other countries, it's not like that. It's not based on the skin color that you think. That's the first lie. The second lie is, in this country, the culture of like I said before, even black families are teaching their children that they're less than white people. Not so much now, but in the past. And even though they don't say that, and they won't admit it, their actions speak louder than the words. And they teach their children to treat white people with more, black people, some of them. Families, they teach their children to treat white people with more respect than black people. So that gives them low self-esteem. And if you feel you're less and you're a second-class citizen, you're going to live it. That's the problem with this culture, with your thinking, is you got to break the cycle somewhere along the way so that parents are raising their children and acting, not just what the words they say, but how they act around other people. Do you treat them equally or do you treat them less? Because that's what really matters, not the words you say. Those matter too. But what matters most is how you act. For example, you can say, I treat women equally, but then when you get around women and you belittle them and talk down to them, now you're acting differently than what you're saying. We have to look at that. We have to look at our actions. And this is one of the biggest issues in our country. We can get past this. It's all psychology. And everything is in the mind. Everything's happening inside our brain. Even you watching me on the device you're watching it on, it's all happening in your head. The stuff, your equipment, your computer, your iPhone, technically isn't even solid. The atoms are at the center of the atoms that make up that device you're looking on is nothing but energy. Empty space. It appears solid because in comparison to us, it seems it. But everything's just made of energy, and everything's happening in our minds. Our minds put this energy together. And that's where everything's happening. I don't want to get too much into that part of it. I just want to get into the racist part of it and the prejudices that we learn throughout our lives, and then we live them. And it becomes second nature, and that's why racists don't know that they're racist. Excuse me. And that's all I wanted to get in on it for now. I thank you for watching. There is going to be a video. I try to put out a couple of videos a month, sometimes 3, on the subjects as they come up. So if you have any topics that you want to hear about, you'd like my opinion on, put them in the description, comment section. And if you like the video, hit like. If you don't like the video, hit don't like. Either way, it helps me out, because the more interactions, the more my channel gets promoted. And I don't do this for money. I just do this for people that want the information. Check out some of the other videos on my page. There are many on there about all different subjects, about ancient religions, hidden, occult, esoteric secrets. And I thank you for watching. You have a great day.